Ryan Hayes was just an ordinary university student struggling to make ends meet. After losing his parents at a young age, he worked part-time as a tutor while taking care of his grandmother. Every day was a battle between paying tuition, buying medicine, and chasing a dream that often felt impossible. Ryan believed that kindness was worth more than money. He had no idea that one ordinary evening would completely change his life. A mysterious job offer would lead him to the mansion of one of the richest families in the country, where he would meet Chloe Ashford, a young billionaire hiding behind the life of an ordinary girl. What started as a simple tutoring job would soon become a journey filled with friendship, betrayal, dangerous conspiracies, and an unexpected love that neither of them saw coming. Chapter 1. Ryan Hayes had always believed that hard work could solve almost anything. At 22, he was studying at university during the day and working as a private tutor every evening. After losing his parents as a teenager, he lived with his grandmother in a small apartment. Every rupee he earned went toward tuition, rent, and medicine for his grandmother. Life wasn't easy, but Ryan never complained. One rainy evening, after finishing another tutoring session, he walked toward the bus stop while calculating his expenses. His phone buzzed with another reminder about his overdue tuition payment. He sighed. I'll figure something out. Just then, a black luxury sedan stopped beside him. The rear window rolled down, and a well-dressed businesswoman stepped out. Mr. Ryan Hayes? Ryan nodded cautiously. Yes. Without another word, she handed him a black envelope. Our employer would like to meet you. Before Ryan could ask any questions, the car drove away. Confused, he opened the envelope. Inside was a simple contract. Private tutor wanted. Duration, 6 months. Salary, $100,000. Ryan stared at the number in disbelief. There had to be a mistake. The second page explained the job. The client didn't need help with mathematics or science. Instead, the tutor would teach someone how to live like an ordinary person. Ryan laughed to himself. What kind of person needs lessons like that? Still, the salary was impossible to ignore. The next morning, Ryan arrived at the address listed on the contract. Waiting behind massive iron gates was one of the most luxurious mansions he had ever seen. Marble fountains decorated the entrance. Luxury cars lined the driveway. Ryan suddenly became very aware of his old sneakers and worn backpack. An elderly gentleman greeted him. My name is Arthur Bennett. I manage the affairs of the Ashford family. Arthur led Ryan into an elegant office and placed the contract on the table. The offer is genuine. Ryan looked around the room. So, who exactly am I teaching? Arthur smiled. You'll meet her tomorrow. Ryan hesitated for only a moment before signing the contract. As he walked out of the mansion, he never noticed someone quietly watching from an upstairs balcony. A young woman smiled softly. I hope he's different. Chapter 2. The following morning, Ryan returned to the estate. Arthur introduced him to a young woman wearing a white hoodie, jeans, and sneakers. She smiled warmly. I'm Chloe. Ryan smiled back. I'm Ryan. She looked nothing like the owner of such a huge mansion. In fact, she looked like an ordinary university student. Arthur handed Ryan a small note before leaving. Today's lessons. Buy coffee. Ride public transportation. Eat lunch at a local restaurant. Ryan looked confused. That's all. Arthur simply smiled. You'll understand. Their first stop was a neighborhood cafe. Ryan asked Chloe to order whatever she wanted. She confidently walked to the counter. I'll have the coffee. The cashier smiled awkwardly. Which one? Chloe stared at the menu in complete confusion. There are different kinds. Ryan couldn't stop smiling. After several minutes, she finally chose a latte. When it was time to pay, Chloe placed a thick stack of $100 bills on the counter. Everyone in the cafe turned toward her. Ryan quickly stepped in and paid with a small bill. Outside, Chloe looked embarrassed. I didn't know people don't carry cash like that. Ryan laughed. Most people don't. For the first time, Chloe realized how little she understood about everyday life. Next, Ryan took her to the subway. She accidentally tapped her credit card instead of the transit pass. A line of impatient commuters quickly formed behind them. Ryan smiled. Wrong card. Chloe laughed at herself. I guess I'm failing today's lesson. Inside the train, Chloe quietly observed the passengers. Children laughed. Students chatted. An elderly woman entered, and Ryan immediately gave up his seat. Chloe watched carefully. You didn't even know her. Ryan shrugged. She needed it more than I did. Those simple words stayed with Chloe. Later, they visited a small noodle restaurant. Ryan handed her a pair of chopsticks. You've never used these? She shook her head. After several failed attempts, noodles slipped back into the bowl over and over again. Ryan laughed so hard that Chloe couldn't help laughing too. Eventually, she managed to pick up a single noodle. I did it. Ryan applauded dramatically. Their laughter filled the restaurant. For the first time in years, Chloe forgot she was carrying the weight of an entire company. Outside the restaurant, a black limousine was already waiting. Several security guards stepped forward as Chloe approached. Ryan watched in confusion. She had said almost nothing about her family. but whatever her background was, it clearly wasn't ordinary. As the limousine drove away, Chloe looked back through the window. She smiled. I think I finally found a real friend. Neither of them noticed the man across the street taking photographs. He immediately sent them to someone else. The message contained only one sentence. The tutor has earned her trust. Chapter 3. Over the next few weeks, Ryan and Chloe met almost every day. Each lesson introduced Chloe to something she had never experienced before. One morning, Ryan took her grocery shopping. She spent nearly 5 minutes trying to choose between different brands of milk. I didn't know there were this many choices. Ryan laughed. Welcome to normal life. Later, he invited her to his apartment. It was small. The furniture was old, but it felt warm. Ryan's grandmother welcomed Chloe like family. Before Chloe knew what was happening, she was wearing an apron in the kitchen. I've never cooked before, she admitted. Then today you'll learn. Within minutes, flour covered the counter. An egg slipped from Chloe's hand and exploded on the floor. Ryan burst into laughter. My student has officially lost a battle against breakfast. Even his grandmother couldn't stop laughing. It was messy. It was chaotic. And Chloe loved every second of it. After dinner, Ryan's grandmother served tea. She smiled kindly at Chloe. Money makes life comfortable, but love is what makes a house feel like home. Chloe quietly looked around the tiny apartment. She had lived in one of the largest mansions in the city. Yet somehow, this small home felt richer. A few days later, Ryan and Chloe walked through a local park. Suddenly, a little boy began crying after dropping his backpack into a drainage canal. Without hesitation, Ryan climbed down and retrieved it. His shoes were soaked. The little boy smiled brightly. Thank you. Ryan simply nodded. No problem. Chloe watched silently. You helped him without expecting anything. Ryan smiled. That's what people should do. That evening, Chloe handed Ryan a gift. Inside the box was an expensive tablet. Ryan gently closed it. I can't accept this. Chloe looked disappointed. I only wanted to thank you. You already have. Ryan smiled. I'd rather earn something like this myself. For the first time, someone had refused an expensive gift from Chloe. Not because they were afraid. Not because they wanted something else. Simply because it was the right thing to do. That night, in a luxurious office overlooking the city, Victor Ashford studied several photographs spread across his desk. Every picture showed Ryan and Chloe together. Victor's expression darkened. So, she's finally smiling again. He slowly tore one photograph in half. Find out everything about him. If he becomes a problem, we'll make sure he disappears. Far away, Ryan had no idea that accepting a tutoring job had pulled him into a dangerous game of power, betrayal, and secrets. And soon, he would discover the biggest secret of all. Chapter 4. The next few days passed peacefully. Ryan noticed something had changed. Chloe smiled more often. She laughed without forcing it. Even Arthur noticed. One morning, before Ryan entered the mansion, Arthur quietly stopped him. Mr. Hayes. Yes. You've done something no one else could. Ryan looked confused. What do you mean? For years, Miss Chloe never truly smiled. But ever since you arrived, she's finally living instead of simply existing. Ryan didn't know how to respond. To him, Chloe was simply a kind girl trying to experience ordinary life. That afternoon, Ryan surprised her. We're going to a street festival. Her eyes lit up. A real festival? You've never been? She smiled awkwardly. I've only seen them from inside a car. Ryan laughed. Then today you're doing it properly. The festival was alive with music, lanterns, food stalls, and laughter. Chloe couldn't stop looking around. Everything fascinated her. She tasted cotton candy for the first time. She watched children play games. She even tried throwing rings at prizes. She missed every throw. Ryan laughed. I found something you're terrible at. Not funny. It absolutely is. On her final try, she won a small stuffed cat. Instead of keeping it, she walked over to a little boy who had been staring at it. I think you wanted this more than I did. The boy smiled. Really? She nodded. It's yours. Ryan quietly watched. She wasn't pretending to be kind anymore. She was becoming kind. As night fell, fireworks filled the sky. Ryan and Chloe stood together watching the colorful explosions. After a long silence, Chloe finally spoke. Ryan, if you suddenly became rich, what would you do? Ryan smiled. I'd fix my grandmother's house, pay my debts, and keep teaching. You'd still teach. Helping people makes me happy. Chloe looked at him. No one had ever answered that question without mentioning expensive cars or vacations. For the first time, she wondered what real happiness actually looked like. The next morning, Ryan arrived early at the mansion. While waiting for Chloe, he wandered through a hallway decorated with magazine covers. He suddenly stopped. Every magazine featured the same woman, Chloe Ashford, youngest CEO in Ashford global history. Ryan stared at the cover. Same face, same smile. His heart skipped a beat. Slowly, he turned around. Chloe was standing behind him. She lowered her eyes. I'm sorry. I should have told you. Ryan looked at the magazine one more time. Then back at Chloe. You're the CEO? She nodded quietly. The biggest secret had finally been revealed. Chapter 5. Neither of them spoke for several moments. Finally, Ryan asked, "So your name really is Chloe Ashford?" "Yes. And you're one of the richest people in the country?" She nodded. Ryan let out a slow breath. "I thought you trusted me. Edo. I just wanted someone to know me before they knew my money." Arthur quietly entered the hallway. "We hid Miss Ashford's identity because every tutor before you treated her like a billionaire. They agreed with everything she said. They never challenged her." Ryan looked at Chloe. "But you argued with me. You laughed at me. You made me stand in line for coffee." Chloe smiled. "You treated me like a normal person." Ryan couldn't help smiling. "And you still can't cook." She laughed. "I knew you'd bring that up." The tension between them disappeared. Ryan hadn't been tutoring an ordinary student. He had been teaching one of the most powerful women in the country. Yet somehow, nothing really changed. She was still Chloe. Later that day, Chloe invited Ryan to her office. The top floor overlooked the entire city. Ryan walked slowly toward the windows. "This place is incredible." Chloe smiled sadly. "It doesn't feel that way." She sat down. "When my father died, I became CEO overnight. I wasn't ready, but everyone expected me to be perfect." Ryan finally understood. Behind the luxury, behind success, was a young woman carrying responsibilities far beyond her age. That evening, Chloe decided to cook again. Arthur watched nervously. Ryan laughed. "This should be interesting." 10 minutes later, smoke filled the kitchen. The fire alarm started ringing. Arthur calmly walked in carrying a fire extinguisher. Ryan couldn't stop laughing. "I think we've officially made history." Chloe covered her face. "I'm never cooking again." Ryan smiled. "You'll get there." She looked at him. "Promise?" "I promise." But someone else had been watching. Inside another office, Victor stared at security footage of Ryan and Chloe laughing together. His smile disappeared. "So, the tutor stayed." He slowly picked up a file. Across the front were the words, "Project Phoenix." Victor smiled coldly. "If I can't control Chloe, I'll destroy the people she trusts." Chapter 6. A few days later, Chloe invited Ryan to Ashford Global Headquarters. "This is where I spend most of my life." The building towered above the city. Employees immediately greeted Chloe with respect. "Good morning, Miss Ashford." Ryan noticed something strange. No one looked relaxed. Everyone seemed nervous around her. "They're afraid." Chloe sighed. "They're afraid of my position." Inside, Ryan met Chloe's uncle, Victor Ashford. Victor extended his hand. "So, you're the famous tutor." Ryan smiled politely. "I'm just doing my job." Victor's smile never reached his eyes. "I hope you're teaching her something useful." Before Ryan could answer, Chloe spoke. "He already has." Victor's expression hardened for a brief moment. Ryan immediately sensed there was tension between them. Later that afternoon, Ryan quietly observed a board meeting. Executives questioned Chloe's decisions. They criticized company profits. They challenged nearly every proposal she made. Ryan noticed something. Most of the criticism came from directors sitting near Victor. It felt coordinated. After the meeting, Arthur asked Ryan to step onto a balcony overlooking the city. "Have you noticed anything?" Ryan nodded. "Someone is trying to undermine Chloe." Arthur remained silent. Then he quietly said, "I believe someone inside this company wants her removed." Before Ryan could ask another question, Arthur walked away. As Ryan prepared to leave, he noticed a folder left inside the conference room. Several large money transfers had been approved. The numbers looked suspicious. A senior executive quickly grabbed the folder. "Thank you. I've been looking for this." The man hurried away. Ryan couldn't explain why, but something felt wrong. That evening, Ryan and Chloe forgot about business for a while. They wandered through a busy night market. She tried grilled corn, fresh fruit juice, and local street food. For a few hours, she wasn't a CEO. She was simply Chloe, watching from across the street. A photographer quietly captured everything. Within minutes, the photos reached Victor. He looked at them without emotion. "So, she's happier than ever." He closed the folder on his desk. "Tomorrow, the first move begins." Ryan and Chloe had no idea. The conspiracy against them had already started. Chapter 7. The next morning, Ashford Global was unusually quiet. Employees whispered in hallways. News reporters gathered outside the headquarters. The moment Chloe entered the building, Arthur hurried toward her. "We have a serious problem." He handed her a tablet. The headline read, "Ashford Global CEO accused of financial fraud." Chloe's face turned pale. Millions of dollars had allegedly disappeared from company accounts, and leaked documents claimed she had personally approved every transaction. Ryan immediately shook his head. "These documents are fake." Arthur nodded. "I believe so, but the media doesn't." Within an hour, investors began selling their shares. News channels repeated the story nonstop. Outside the building, reporters shouted questions as security escorted Chloe inside. An emergency board meeting was called. Victor stood confidently before the directors. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, The evidence speaks for itself. He displayed financial reports with Chloe's digital signature. Every transfer appeared legitimate. The chairman turned toward Chloe. Can you explain these transactions? She carefully examined the documents. I've never approved these payments. Victor folded his arms. Then how do you explain your signature? Chloe looked helpless. Someone had copied it perfectly. Ryan finally stood. I'd like to say something. The room fell silent. I've spent weeks with Chloe. She reviews every important decision personally. I don't believe she would ever approve these transfers. Victor smiled coldly. Belief isn't evidence. Ryan had no answer. For the first time, it felt like they were losing. After the meeting, a young accountant quietly approached Ryan. My name is Emily. She looked around nervously. I think someone inside the finance department changed company records. Ryan's eyes widened. Can you prove it? Emily handed him a small flash drive. I copied the security logs. If anyone finds out, my career is over. Ryan accepted it carefully. I promise your name stays between us. That evening, Ryan found Chloe alone on the rooftop. She stood silently, staring at the city. They've already decided I'm guilty. Ryan stepped beside her. I haven't. She looked at him. You still believe me? Always. For the first time that day, she smiled. A small smile. But it was enough. Far away, Victor watched the evening news. Then he turned to his assistant. Prepare the next documents. What documents? The ones proving Ryan was working for our competitors. The assistant hesitated. But they're fake. Victor smiled. So were the ones we used against Chloe. Chapter 8. The next morning, Ryan woke to dozens of missed calls. Arthur answered immediately. Don't come to headquarters. It's too late. Ryan opened the news. A new headline appeared. CEO's tutor accused of corporate espionage. His apartment address had been leaked. His university, even his grandmother's home. Before Ryan could react, reporters surrounded his apartment. Cameras flashed from every direction. Arthur arrived just in time. Get in. Ryan climbed into Arthur's car as security blocked the reporters. Meanwhile, Chloe sat alone in her office. Every newspaper blamed either her or Ryan. Arthur entered quietly. They've started attacking him. Chloe stood immediately. I'm going to him. Later that afternoon, Ryan and Chloe met in a private conference room. I'm sorry, Ryan said. They're targeting you because of me. Ryan smiled. They're targeting me because I'm standing beside you. Chloe looked down. I don't want you to lose everything. Ryan replied softly. If I walk away now, you'll lose everything alone. For the first time since the scandal began, Chloe felt hope. Just then, Emily rushed into the room. I found something. She opened several files. The forged documents weren't created using Ashford Global's accounting system. Ryan looked closer. The metadata proves it. Arthur smiled for the first time in days. We finally have evidence. But before anyone could celebrate, Arthur received a phone call. His expression changed instantly. The board has voted. He slowly lowered the phone. Chloe, you've been suspended as CEO. The room fell silent. Everything she had built was gone. Later that afternoon, security escorted Chloe out of headquarters. She carried only a small cardboard box. Employees watched quietly. Then, one employee bowed. Another followed. Soon, dozens of employees silently bowed as Chloe walked toward the exit. She smiled through her tears. Outside, Ryan took her to the only place he knew she would feel safe. His grandmother's home. The elderly woman opened the door. You must be Chloe. Without asking a single question, she hugged her. Chloe finally broke down. For the first time in years, she cried without pretending to be strong. That same night, Victor sat alone in the CEO's office. He looked out over the city. It finally belongs to me. Then he picked up another file. Ryan Hayes. If he keeps investigating, he becomes the next problem. Chapter 9. The next morning, Ryan gathered everyone around his grandmother's dining table. Arthur, Emily, Chloe, we've been defending ourselves. Now we fight back. Emily opened the company backup files. Ryan carefully compared the financial records. Then he noticed something. This approval happened while Chloe was speaking at an international charity event. Arthur immediately searched online. The speech was still available. The timestamps matched perfectly. There was no way she signed these documents. Their first piece of real evidence had finally appeared. Emily continued searching. Suddenly she froze. Wait. Security footage showed someone entering the finance department late at night. The person's face was hidden, but one detail stood out. A silver family ring. Arthur recognized it immediately. Only members of the Ashford family wear this. Ryan frowned. Who else has one? Chloe answered quietly. My cousin, Daniel. That evening, someone knocked on Ryan's door. Standing outside was Daniel Ashford. Ryan remained cautious. What do you want? Daniel held up a briefcase. The truth. Inside were confidential board documents, private emails, and one voice recorder. Ryan pressed play. Victor's voice filled the room. Once Chloe is suspended, the company will finally belong to us. The room fell silent. Daniel looked ashamed. I spent years believing my uncle. I was wrong. Ryan nodded. Then help us finish this. Daniel smiled. I already have. For the first time, their team finally had everything they needed. Emily had the financial evidence. Arthur understood the company. Daniel had Victor's confession. Ryan looked around the room. We're ready. Chloe smiled. Tomorrow, we take my company back. Across the city, Victor learned Daniel had resigned. For the first time, his confidence disappeared. He slowly opened a folder labeled Emergency Board Meeting. He smiled. If they want a final battle, I'll give them one. Tomorrow, everything would be decided. Chapter 10. The next morning, Ashford Global Headquarters was surrounded by reporters. Employees gathered in the lobby, knowing today would decide the company's future. Ryan adjusted his tie as he stood beside Chloe. She smiled nervously. Whatever happens, thank you for staying. Ryan smiled. I promised I'd finish the job. Arthur opened the boardroom doors. The directors are waiting. The conference room fell silent as Chloe and Ryan entered. Victor stood confidently at the front. Ladies and gentlemen, the evidence against Chloe Ashford is undeniable. He displayed the forged financial reports, bank transfers, digital signatures. Every document appeared authentic. Several board members nodded. Victor smiled. I recommend Miss Ashford be permanently removed as CEO. The chairman turned toward Chloe. Do you wish to respond? Before Chloe could answer, Ryan stood. I'd like 10 minutes. The chairman nodded. Go ahead. Ryan connected Emily's flash drive to the projector. Emily explained how the documents had been created using software Ashford Global never owned. The independent auditors carefully reviewed the metadata. One auditor finally spoke. The records appear to have been created outside the company's system. The room erupted into whispers. Victor remained calm. Interesting, but that doesn't prove Chloe is innocent. Ryan smiled. You're right. So let's continue. The boardroom doors opened. Daniel Ashford walked inside, carrying a briefcase. Every director turned toward him. Daniel placed several documents on the table. I resigned from all executive positions. And today, I'm here as a witness. Victor's expression changed for the first time. Daniel, what are you doing? Daniel ignored him. Ryan played the audio recording. Victor's own voice echoed through the speakers. Once Chloe is suspended, the company will finally belong to us. Another recording followed. Forge the approvals. No one will question the CEO's signature. Silence filled the room. Ryan projected one final timeline. Every forged transaction matched the time when Chloe had been speaking at public events. There was no possible way she could have signed those documents. After reviewing everything, the lead auditor stood. We have reached a conclusion. The evidence against Miss Chloe Ashford was fabricated. We recommend a criminal investigation into Victor Ashford. Victor slammed his fists onto the table. You don't understand. I deserve this company. Chloe stood calmly. My father chose integrity over ambition. That's why he trusted me. Security officers entered the room. Victor looked around desperately. Not a single board member defended him. As security escorted him away, he glared at Ryan. This isn't over. Ryan answered quietly. It already is. The doors closed behind Victor. The chairman stood. By unanimous vote, we restore Chloe Ashford as Chief Executive Officer of Ashford Global. The room erupted into applause. Employees watching the live broadcast throughout the building cheered. Chloe looked at Ryan. Without him, none of this would have been possible. That evening, the celebration continued inside headquarters. Ryan quietly slipped away to the rooftop. A few moments later, Chloe joined him. They looked out over the city. You saved my company, she said. Ryan smiled. No, you saved it. I just reminded everyone who the real leader was. For a long moment, neither of them spoke, but both knew their journey wasn't over. Chapter 11. A month later, life slowly returned to normal. Victor's crimes became public. The investigation confirmed everything. Ashford Global's reputation recovered, and Chloe focused on rebuilding the company. One afternoon, Ryan arrived at the mansion expecting another lesson. Instead, Chloe handed him an envelope. Our contract is complete. Inside was a check for $100,000. Ryan looked at it for a moment, then placed it back on the table. I can't take it. Chloe looked surprised. You earned it. Ryan smiled. I didn't stay because of the money. I stayed because you needed a friend. Chloe's eyes filled with tears. Then let me do something else. Ryan thought for a moment. Create a scholarship. A scholarship? For students who can't afford university. That would mean far more to me. Chloe smiled. Then that's exactly what I'll do. Several weeks later, Ashford Global held a press conference. Standing behind the podium, Chloe made a major announcement. Today, we proudly launch the Hayes Future Scholarship. This program will support talented students who dream of a better future. Reporters applauded. Ryan quietly watched from the back of the room. He never expected his name to become part of something so meaningful. Time passed. Ryan graduated from university with top honors. His grandmother proudly hugged him. I always knew you could do it. Ryan smiled. We did it together. As he left the campus, a familiar black limousine stopped beside him. The window rolled down. Chloe smiled. Need a ride? Ryan laughed. I thought ordinary people took the bus. They do. But today, I wanted to pick up someone special. Instead of driving home, Chloe stopped at the same park where they had spent one of their first afternoons together. Cherry blossoms danced in the breeze. She looked at Ryan and took a deep breath. I've negotiated billion-dollar deals. I've spoken to thousands of employees. But I've never confessed my feelings before. Ryan smiled. Then let me help. She looked at him. I fell in love with the tutor, who treated me like an ordinary person. Ryan gently took her hand, and I fell in love with the girl, who thought there was only one kind of coffee. Chloe laughed through her tears. So, does this mean we're finally going on a real date? Ryan smiled. Only if you're buying the coffee. She grinned. I even know how to order now. Together, they walked into the same cafe where everything had begun. This time, Chloe confidently ordered 2 coffees and paid with the correct amount. Ryan laughed. I think you've officially graduated. Epilogue: 1 year later. Ashford Global had become stronger than ever. The Hayes Future Scholarship had already helped hundreds of students continue their education. Ryan had opened a free learning center for children who couldn't afford tutoring. Chloe quietly became its biggest supporter. Every weekend, they still visited Ryan's grandmother for dinner. Sometimes Chloe still burned the toast. Ryan never let her forget it. One evening, they walked hand in hand along a riverside at sunset. The city glowed behind them. Chloe smiled. Do you remember our first lesson? Ryan nodded. Buying coffee. I thought you were teaching me how ordinary people lived. Ryan looked at her. I was. She squeezed his hand. But you taught me something even more important. And what's that? Chloe smiled. The richest life isn't measured by money. It's measured by the people who choose to stay beside you. Ryan gently kissed her forehead. I couldn't agree more. Hand in hand, they disappeared into the sunset. Not as a billionaire and a tutor. Not as a CEO and a student. But as Chloe and Ryan, ready for every chapter life had yet to write.